Hello, everyone, and my name is Richard, and we're here at Fullwave Studios. And today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about a template. One thing that's beneficial about a template is that whenever you need to start a project really quickly, you get an inspiration or an idea. You want to be able to have something already set up as a starting block. Sometimes you start with one, sometimes you don't. But in this situation, it's always nice to have one in handy, and I do have one. So whenever someone wants to record really quickly, and I have all my routes already set up, it's really easy to just to pull up a template and try to record right away. You'll have a certain types of routing already completed, certain effects already in place, and certain buses and auxes already in place. So it's very beneficial to have one just in case. Sometimes you start with a blank slate, and sometimes you start with a template. It all depends on the situation. But for me, I like to have this template in place, and that's one thing I'm going to talk about. I'm going to go over just my template really fast, and just so that you guys can get an idea of what I do, and we can take it from there. So let's go to the Logic and check it out. I use Logic, so let's check out this this template. All right, so this is my template, and what I do here is I tend to set up my buses and auxes already in place, and you'll see here that I'll have an Aux Effects set up, aux drums, aux bass, aux electric guitars, aux acoustic guitars, keys, Vox, background vocals, miscellaneous, and this is the MK2. This is for my machine, my Native Instruments machine. I got a bounce aux here just for bounces. My two bus where everything goes to, and my two bus parallel compression, and then my stereo out. So what I like to do is start off with the Aux Effects first. And the reason that I do this is because I use Universal Audio Apollo interfaces. And sometimes those interfaces, when you have a lot of effects in place, the DSP that's in there, the first things that load up are the first plugins that it sees. And so I do have quite a bit of aux effects, and so I want those to load up first. And even though they're not being all used or active, they load up and take up DSP space. I do have enough DSPs to run quite a few, but it's just a habit that I have, and I just go ahead and do that. Let me just open this up really quick. And so what I have here is already effects buses already in place. You'll see the EMT 140 plugin, which is this guy here from Universal Audio. It's a plate reverb. I use this for drums quite a bit. Next one over is the Lexicon digital reverb. And this one is also a Universal Audio. And I have certain presets already set up here, but this is a digital convolution reverb. Next one is my spring reverb, and I use this for mainly electric guitars. I just like the way the spring reverb sounds on electric guitars. So that's already in place there. The next one over is my Capital Chambers, which is a chamber plugin. And I use this for voice, Awesome Room. And I tend to use also this Al Schmidt The One as my presets just to start off. Next one over is my Valhalla Vintage Reverb in place. Valhalla Room, I got that. I have a ping pong delay that I use. I like using Echo Boy. Echo Boy is great. I do the clean ping pong delay echo, and I set up to studio tape here. I set it to taste. For choruses, I like to use this Dimension D chorus from Universal Audio. It's great. and I have a aux for a flanger, MXR flanger from Universal Audio. It's not there now. The Cooper Time Cube, which is also from Universal Audio, which is pretty much a garden hose inside a emulation of a garden hose inside a box that recreates some sort of echo, reverbish kind of sounds. Tape echo. This is the EP, Universal Audio EP03, I think it's called, and quite a few other types of echoes. I just have it blank there because I whenever the song plays, I just wanted to know which one. I pick them on the fly. For this other aux here, I have this Valhalla Shimmer, which is great for like these weird atmospheric sounds. So when you do any sound design, that's great. And after that, applying more stereo width kind of things, this is the doubler. I use this for like background vocals or vocals just to give it a little bit of space. I have a stereo crush, a mono crush, and here I use the Devil Lux, either that or the CLA Bluey or Blackie here. And I use these to send tracks to here to do like a parallel stereo distortion crush on it and run it back in, blend it back in. That's for crushing the signal. Now I have a stereo distortion and stereo and mono distortion. Here it's always the capitator is one of the ones that I've been using quite a bit recently, which is not in my template, but I plan on doing it, is this HG black box from Plugin Alliance. Super great. I love this one because it does left, right, and has the ability to do mid-side distortion, saturation. And these are just my extra ones, aux temp 1, 2, 3. And this is just to have spare ones there in place, just in case if I need to create one out of the blue. And you'll notice that they're all bused to 65. I mean, 65 is pretty much my 2-bus. See if you see it here. My 2-bus is here. And you'll see on top that they're labeled from bus 33 on all the way to 52. And one of the reasons I do that is because if you click here, Logic automatically kind of breaks it up into these little chunks. So what I use these first 32 is for typical routing and any of the auxes up front. It's already broken down for me there. So if you go here to 33 to 64, you'll notice that all my effects sends are already here in place from 33 to 64. If you go into the 66, 96, I have bus 2 stuff in there. And my 97 to 128, I have my other mono and other types of spare auxes that I have in there. So that's what I do. So that's the first thing that I see here on this aux. Next one over is drums. I bus everything to one bus. But what I do here, normally when I record live, I do kick in, kick out, snare top, snare bottom, overhead left and right, hi-hats, tom 1, tom 2, floor, toms, rooms 1 and 2. These last 4 here, I tend, or actually these last 6, depending on the drummer, how many toms he has, I change these words around because sometimes they only have 1 tom. One floor tom, one rack tom, 1 floor tom, so I have 4 spare. So what I do, sometimes I do drop some microphones on the ground. So I use these convert these floor ones to like the microphone on the ground. And these are room mics, either mono or stereo. But so all these are tracked in here. And you'll notice that from all my kicks is from bus 1, are outputted to bus 1. Snare bus 2, my overheads bus 3, and then in the hi-hats, and my toms to bus 4. And you'll notice that over here, there's yellow over here. These are my auxes. So the kick, this is bus 1. So these 2 kicks come here, and this is where I sum up the kick in, kick out. And so I do most of my processing here. So same thing with the snare. I do that in to bus 2, which is here, mux them into 1, aux them into 1, same thing with overhead and toms. So the reason that I do this is because on the kick side, for example, let's pick on that one, I might do some minor filtering, some cleanups over here. But once I get muxed and aux into this bus one, this is kind of where I do my compression and my EQ to tighten up the sound. Do any reverb? You don't do reverbs on kicks, but sometimes you do. But on snares here, you might set it to an aux for reverb aux to get some audio out of it, some girth and tail in on the snare. So I do most of my processing here for the kick, snare, overheads, toms. And you'll notice here also that bus 10 goes all the way back here to this bus aux. And this is in the folder. So you'll notice that it kind of opens and closes. So here, that's pretty much what I do for the drums. And this orange stuff over here, these are pretty much also auxes, but the P comp is parallel compression. D is drum crush, so if I want to put some decapitator or some devil lock in there. The parallel compressor, I have the SSL G compressor, but I use other ones in here too. I have drum reverb. So this is a specific reverb for the drums if I want to send it to like only the snare. So if I only want to send the snare to here, that's what I use. And D-Room, the one and only Ocean Wave Studios. This is the one that for sure, it's a great plugin. It was quite expensive when it first came out, but this plugin is spectacular on simulating a room. It has the ability here to do remic and reverb. So I tend to use a reverb here for this one, but you could drop this Ocean Waves on the snare on your tracks that you're tracking and remic it, and it emulates your mic being at Ocean Waves, which is pretty a great plugin, which I could do another review on that one. But that's pretty much the drums. So on bass, same thing. You might see here that it's going to load something because I already have a lot of the plugins in here already in place. And this is kind of like the first time that you click on this, and it does that all the time. So on bass, what I do here is I have a DI, bass DI, bass amp. This is a software track. I have the Contact 808s in here for 808 synth, and the synth bass also for a keyboard type of playing. So whenever I want a quick bass, either I do it manually with my keyboard, or when I'm tracking, you track with the bass amp and bass DI. So these all go to bus 20, which is here, which goes to this guy. Close that. Next one is electric guitar. So whenever I record guitars, I do a DI and the actual mic. So here's the mic one in DI, and these two, bus 11 goes to here, and it auxes into one guitar track. So a guitar 1 aux, guitar 2, and then aux, guitar 3 aux, guitar 4 aux. And that lets me be able to put live guitars when I'm tracking already in place there. Sometimes I use 2 microphones on an amp, like a ribbon and the dynamic. But I do have the BAE 1073 with the Stevens mod, which what it does is that you put 2 mics in there and you can mux them in there into one out. So the one out will go into here. Or if I'm not recording DI, I put them both in here. And if I do have a DI, I just hit Command D on my keyboard here, and it creates another track under that same aux. So, and these other ones here, Guitar 6 DI, and I have a solo one, solo DI, Guitar Ear Candy 1 and 2. So all these mux 21 into this guy here, which goes all into one. Next one is acoustic guitar, which is, it's almost the same thing as guitar. There's acoustic guitar 1 and 2. And I do have an acoustic guitar stereo because I do have a stereo ribbon mic. And sometimes I put that in there and it records as like wide guitars. And these 22 goes to here and goes to this guitar aux. The keys, you'll see something load up. Here, same thing, keys. Keys are just my synths, my keyboard. And I use this one for like any like synths or keyboards or trumpets or anything that you need that's on a software-based instrument. Complete Control is what I use, the native instruments. So it's KK1, KK2, KK2 is more of a duplicate. And I just change these instruments up here to whatever I want to do. And all these go to aux 23. Next one over is the Vox, the main vocal Vox. And I kind of have it broken down into certain sections of a song. So I have verse Vox, and then verse, double take left, double take right, and then you have pre-chorus, double take left, double take right, chorus, double take left, double take right, and I got a bridge and double take bridge left, double take bridge right. And those are just templates there that I just have in place, ready to go. So whenever a singer sings, they sing on this track here, and then boom, right away I just go to this guy, hit record, and boom, I'm already on that track already. So that's for the voice, and all these go to 24, which is 24 here. Background vocals, same concept, broken up into verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge. I do have this high left, high right, mid left, mid right, low left, low right. And this is just background vocals, ear candy for the voice. And all these go to 25 bus, which comes to this aux here. So all those background vocals come here. And this miscellaneous, this is just for little things like hits or percussions or a sound or a tambourine, just anything that's miscellaneous. I just have it in there, and I do have them all as mono, but you can just convert those to stereo by clicking here, and it makes it into stereo. So that's miscellaneous. That's all bus 26 to 26. My next one over is Superior Drummer. I use Superior Drummer just to lay down some sample tracks on drums. I tend to it's maybe like half and half, 50% of the time I keep the Superior Drummer tracks because they're pretty good. They're like a live player playing, but it's a MIDI track. But sometimes I use it just to lay down the foundation of a song, and I'll send the song out to somebody to play live drums. But it's a temporary tracks here for right now. I have it set up for kick, snare, hi-hat, tom. But every time you select a drum that you like, it changes these outputs. But once I do like a sound of a drum, I'll go into the mixer and route that snare to the snare track here, route the kick to the kick track, and route the ambient or the room mics into the specific track. So I have more control here. You'll see here that see up here where it says Superior 3 and 4, that's stereo track 3 and 4, stereo track 5 and 6, and so on and so forth, right? So that's my Superior Drummer. I have this MK2, which is my machine from Native Instruments. Sometimes I need like a little sound or something really quick, so I just go in there and type it in, and that's already there routing. And then my bounce ones are here because in Logic, when you want to record a track into its own track, and you don't want to bounce in place, sometimes you want to keep the track the way that it is and send it to another track. So all the plugins are committed into the track, but you don't really affect the original track. So that's kind of what I use this bounce track for, and it's yellow and it's very bright. So I doubt you could barely read here, but it says bounce 1, bounce 2, bounce 3. And there's mono and stereo tracks in here. So this is only as a temporary track, just to push stuff over. I'll give you an example. Sometimes when you have like when you use vocal align to align the songs, or melodyne to align pitches, it takes up a lot of CPU size. So sometimes you need to just bounce it in place, or bounce it so you can get rid of those plugins. And so I just route things here, records it, and turn off the plugins. I don't use it as much because my computer's pretty powerful enough, but it's enough to do pretty well. And so that's pretty much the majority of my template that I use. You'll notice here that all these go to 65, and 65 is the 2 bus, what was called the 2 bus. And so all this gets routed here. And the reason that I like this format here, because you'll notice that once I collapse all these files into one here, it becomes its own little stationary mixer here. So if normally when I start a mix, I start with the drums, most likely the kick, and I mix the bass with the kick. And once I get that nice balance, I start adding the other elements into it. But once I have a basic leveling, I go into this view, and on this view, everything's here. So like if I want to lower the guitars, I lower the guitars a little bit. If I want to pick up the voice, I pick up the voice. So it's very convenient, and I kind of like the way that this is right now here, and it was worked out for me so far. All this comes down to the 2 bus, and on the 2 bus, this is where I do my majority of my bus processing of the entire track. And on this track, this is where I put all my compressors to glue it, my EQ, any tape saturation, or whatever you have to put in here. And this is where I set my leveling. So the way this goes right now, this goes to stereo out, which is here, but you'll notice that there's a send, and this send is to 66, which is this guy here. And this is my 2 bus compressor. So here I tend to use a decapitator, or another form of compression. But all I'm trying to do is smash it or distort it in some way or another, like where it's really crushed. And so when I do is that when the song is pretty much mixed and done, I turn this guy on, and I just blend the saturation in. Obviously turn this guy on, and you blend it in, and then you get that high saturation, brings the song up a little bit more. Sometimes I put an EQ before it to get rid of, to only saturate like the mid section only, or only saturate some of the highs. It just depends what the song needs. But that's pretty much what I do here. And all this comes to stereo out. So one of the things that is very helpful with this template, whenever a band wants to come and record, I already have everything mic'd up. All of my inputs is already set up. When the band records drums, for example, and they want to hear the drums, like how it sounds, I already have some effects already in place there, and I already have the track, and I could just do the quick mixing, and everything. So, and whenever you get the idea of inspiration of a song, you could bring this guy up right away too. And when you bring it up, it gives you the ability to already have everything in place there, where everything's already arranged and bussed. And so you can record, 4 acoustic tracks really quick, do some guitar and bass, and everything's already bussed to an aux. Don't have to waste time or inspiration clicking and trying to create an aux and do routing and everything. Everything's already there, and that's kind of what the reason this is in place. So again, this is my template that I use right now. The plugins and all the stuff that's in there changes continuously. So this is what it is right now. We're in December 2021, and it's going to change. I have changed this quite a bit. I move stuff around. It just depends over time as the workflow goes. You start becoming a little bit more efficient. But that's how it is right now. And if you have any questions on how I do certain things, or maybe I did not explain something directly, feel free to send me a message, and I'll try for sure to respond as much as I can. But as for me, I'm just a regular guy doing music here. I'm not someone famous or anything, but this is kind of like a thing that I like to do, but at the same time, I don't want to waste time. I only have a certain hours limited in the day. So I want to be able to come in here, do something, and be creative about it. So that's where I'm at. Thank you very much. Again, I'm Richard and I'm here at Fullwave Studios, and this is a presentation of my template that I use right now, and it'll be different maybe tomorrow. Who knows? But thank you very much for joining, and I hope you guys follow me on and listen to my other videos that I have. All right. Thank you very much, and have a good day.